office manager, it is my sad duty to tell you that our friend and colleague Clarence died peacefully in his sleep this morning on the corner of Main and 10th. The police told me that he just walked into the center of the busy intersection and laid down as if to take a nap in the path of an oncoming bus. He did not suffer. It was over in a splat, in an instant. It was over in an instant. Clarence, our best salesperson, always a gentleman, always on top of his game. Well, always was on top of his game. So, yeah, real tragedy. Now, there's been a managerial decision. So this is how it's going to work today, okay? The winner of all the phone calls today will get Clarence's tally and the Toyota that he won yesterday that you probably saw parked out in the parking lot. But another thing came up. Now with Clarence gone, it means we don't have a full roster for the company inter-office baseball league competition. And you all know how Mr. Carson feels about any division whose budget to player ratio is over target. So we're probably looking at a couple layoffs. So the bottom two on the board, you might want to brush off your resume. And may I just say, I think it would be super nice if the person with the car would give a lift to the other two, to the unemployment office, the homeless shelter, whatever things happen. I'm just saying, let's all be friendly. It's just a lift, okay? All righty, let's all get back to work then.
Day when I returned home from my walk, I happened to meet up with my neighbor, Frances. She noticed that I did not appear to be my happy self as usual. I said that I should be proud of my accomplishments, graduating with top marks in the paralegal program, except all I feel lately is fear, sadness, and loneliness, knowing that I almost came close to death. My first car accident, I lost consciousness and developed vertigo. I followed by 3 other car accidents, not to mention that my house being broken into and having a lawyer misrepresent me. Perhaps none of this would have occurred if I only returned to work with the city and did not seek reprisal from my employer and union. But they really left me no other choice, especially threatening me by saying that they're not going to allow me to have a normal life, not caring that my job was affecting my health. Ain't that the fucking truth? Yes, it has been hell for me.
At first, it's little things. You're bumping up against each other. That's marriage, right? She's bugging you, so you turn the bright lights on in the bedroom while she's sleeping. You put your crap on the kitchen counter, tools, heavy machinery, especially if people are about to come over. You put your foot on her favorite chair, marking it, black grease marks that won't ever come off. You say you never said something you just said. Gaslighting. You're watching her, following when she goes somewhere alone. Say she said something you don't like. Freeze her out. Days, weeks even. Then, every once in a while, yell at her in public, scream at her in front of other people. Humiliation. You're teaching her. Trivial things. You go shopping and wants you to check the fridge for something. You get mad. You yell at her. Never makes that mistake again. Well, then there's money. You say you can't afford the gas bill right when she's just about to cook. You get cheap tickets to a show, and you say you can't afford to use them. Trivial things. But you keep her waiting in the car till she's late for things she wants to get to. Then, when she gets upset, you freeze her out. Because even if she keeps her mouth shut, You know she blames you. She has to pay. She blames you. She always blames you. Tries to hide it, keeps her mouth shut. There's always little tells. Fails every time. She just can't do it.
This monologue is from Fire Exit by Stacy Lentz, performed with the kind permission of the playwright. I have noticed that when a teenager dies, their parents always have a lot to say about how remarkable they were. I have read a lot of these memorials and obituaries and Facebook pages. It has become something of an obsession. And they're all full of stuff like, she was remarkably kind, selfless, and sweet. He was a brilliant scientist and a talented musician, a gifted writer, a genius at languages. He was the best son anyone could ever have. He never had an unkind word to say to anyone. My son, Fred, his friends called him Jenks, but his name is Frederick after my father. He was pretty average. He wasn't remarkably intelligent, although he certainly wasn't stupid. He never tested into a gifted program, and he got C grades most of the time. He wasn't an uncommon athlete. And we stopped forcing him to take piano lessons in the 5th grade because we wanted to preserve our hearing. He had a lot of unkind words to say to people, like his sisters, his father, his teachers, and me. One time in 6th grade, he presented me with a contract in which he offered to stay in school if I would promise not to hug him, kiss him, or tell him I loved him for the next 20 years. I refused to sign, so he got himself sent home from school every morning for the next 4 days, sneaking a heating pad into school to elevate his body temperature so he could claim a fever. There is no doubt in my mind that he set off the Westfield fire alarm on multiple occasions in order to get out of tests and exams, and possibly just as a practical joke. But he was not a criminal. He was an average kid. He was my average kid.